All right. Welcome to Cosmic Compass Conversation. Yay. Thank you for being here. I am looking forward to sharing with you just a few things about the astrology, do some cards for our week, and really set some energy in motion as we move into yet another big shifting time. We are currently, this is the new moon day. We are enjoying some energy moving into the Gemini new moon, and then we will be ushering in very shortly a big change. We're in the big change of Saturn in Aries now with Neptune, and soon we will be shifting into Jupiter and Cancer. And then those three planets are coming into their own experience with each other and having lots of conversations. And then we add Pluto in the mix today because it's trine this new moon, and then it's going to be in relationship with everything else that's going on. So, one of the things that a lot of people doing astrology talked about for 2025 was, wow, people who have planets at the early degrees, this is a really big year. And I was like, oh, that would be me, right? So if you have planets at the early degrees, this is a really big year because everything is impacting everything in our charts. So again, everybody's natal chart has its own beautiful, distinct message that wants to be shared, and that's great. So I love that everybody's different. So I'll try to do my best to kind of give you a collective read for today, for this week as we move forward. And we're going to start with some breathing because that's what we do here. We breathe. Very important to breathe. All right. So taking a moment to really come into the space, be where you are. If you're in the middle of a busy day, you don't need to close your eyes. You can just take a moment just to thank yourself for being here, being on the planet, being who you are, and bringing that awareness inwards. And for those of you that can close your eyes, closing your eyes, dropping down and breathing in, expanding your belly. And then on your exhale, just releasing, letting things just drop away that need to drop away. And again, breathing in and expanding the belly. And exhaling. Letting yourself just let things, even if it's just for a moment or two, drop away for just right now into the earth. And then again, breathing in, expanding the belly. And on your exhale, maybe jiggling out any extra energy that isn't something you want to take with you. And at the same time, grounding and connecting into your life force energy. And then breathing in through the soles of your feet, breathing up, feeling that energy gently and easily rising into your body, filling you with everything you need today. And then on your exhale, releasing, relaxing, letting go, letting the earth take anything that isn't yours right now to carry. When you're ready, see, now you could probably just stay there all day. You're like, oh, yeah, that feels good. Okay. But when you're ready, you can come back and we're going to pull some cards for our week. And later off camera, we're going to have a little raffle of one of the travel decks of the Lightseers. So I'm excited. So hang around if you want to be in the raffle. We'll do it at the end. Um, so much fun. All right. So our first card for this week, for this group, for this community. Whoa. Okay. When they fall out, you take them. That is the card. So our first card is this one. Eight of Pentacles. This has been coming up a lot in other decks as well. So clearly it has a message. And I'm just, again, always allowing you to put yourself in that story. The beautiful thing about Chris Ann's cards is that it's really easy to put yourself in the narrative here. And that's really what wants to happen. When we pull a card, yes, we're seeking guidance. Yes, we're talking to our higher selves. Yes, we're talking to our ancestors. And it's part of that is going in and just going, well, what am I doing in this? What is my story here? What is happening in this card? And sure, yes, the Eight of Pentacles has a particular meaning, but there's a deeper meaning for you here, whatever it is that you're choosing to see, feel, sense in that card. And it's a great card. Beautiful card. I don't know. It looks like a place I'd like to be right about now, right? Chair, maybe not so comfortable, but that's all right. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Now, next card for the week. This one keeps coming up. We've had it, I don't know how many weeks in a row, or at least seems like it. Nine of Wands. And again, I think it's really important to decide where like every time I see this card, I notice something a little different. I notice the expression, the stance. There's all kinds of details I notice differently each time. That's important to make note of. What do you feel? What do you notice? Obviously, the Nine of Wands has a grand meaning to it. And I'll give you little hints here. So Wands is energy, it is creative fire. Pentacles is earth, material realm. This is very, yeah. What's your story? That's the best way to read it. And then, of course, I'll put the affirmations in the follow-up email, and you can look up. I still think Angeles Arian's book is one of the best, the Tarot Handbook. Love it. So still my favorite. And there's a lot of really good books out there now. Way more than there used to be, like a lot. Okay, next card. Whoops, that one fell out. And we have received this one fairly recently as well. But there's a message. If it keeps showing up, there's a reason. And this one, again, this deck, she uses strength for 8 and not 11 for strength. So I'm not used to having the 8 be strength. But again, the important thing is, what do I see? What do I feel? What do I notice in the card? How am I in this story? What is my story here? What's happening here? Okay. So those are our cards for the week. And I like them. I think they're good cards. I'm trying to see them. There we go. I like them a lot. I feel like these really support us getting ready for what's next. Yeah. So whether it's on an individual level or on a collective level. So excited about that. All right. I would be remiss if we didn't start with the new moon. It is the new moon today. So it's exact for some of you. Yes, it will be exact tomorrow because time difference, but it's exact at 8:03 p.m. Pacific time today. And it is a really powerful moon for, I'm just going to say it this way, for casting your spells, for setting your intentions, for writing things down, for connecting with words, and for connecting with truth. One of the things I talked about in the last hour was journaling. And again, not to repeat too much, but this idea of journaling. Gemini new moon, even if you just did it for the next lunar month, the next 29 days, there's magic in that. There's magic in that. If you do it for a year and a day, there's even more magic in it. So I'm just putting that out there. But there is this ability, this time, this invitation to write things down, put it out there, see what happens. Very, very important. And one of the things, and this does bear repeating. So sorry for those of you that just heard it, but it does bear repeating. I think some of the magic for setting intentions when we're writing them or speaking them, there are a few little secret ingredients. The first one is gratitude for what is. So I won't go into the long story I went into last time, but when we have gratitude for what is, where we are, what's happening, even if it's challenging, and I know this can be really, really hard when we're in the middle of something to have gratitude, but maybe gratitude that we're still alive, maybe gratitude that there's a blue sky, find some gratitude somewhere, anywhere, and bring that in and begin from a place of some form of gratitude. That is one of your secret ingredients. Another secret ingredient is passion or energy. So life can have a tendency through its challenges to diminish our energy. Okay. And so we might wake up in the morning tired because maybe it was a long night, not enough sleep. Maybe the dreams were hard. Maybe life is just challenging. So life force energy, cultivation of your life force energy is really a secret ingredient here. So gratitude and then life force energy. So when I'm in a really depleted place and I know that I want to set an intention, there are so many ways that we can connect with more life force energy. There's probably infinite ways. One of them is practices, my sensuous wisdom practice, qigong, any sort of movement, actually dancing around the house. When I was going through my divorce, and this was a while ago, this is like a long time ago now, 14 years ago. I was really down. Like it was hard. It was just really hard starting over from scratch. And one of the things that I did as a practice was I picked a particular song that worked for me at the time. And it was lively enough that I could just dance around the house, even if I didn't feel like dancing, even if I didn't feel like moving. But I would just dance around the house and increase my energy that way. So some might call that ecstatic dance, right? But this idea of moving the energy and allowing it to move. There are more refined ways to cultivate that. If you're doing your qigong practice or your sensuous wisdom practice and you're moving that energy gently and easily through your body, that's also really good. And there's also, if we're in a stuck place and we can't dance around, what if we're at work or something and we just can't put on the music and dance around? Although if you have a job where you can't dance around, we should talk because you need to find something else. But that idea of being able to do anything anywhere is really, really key. You can just sit in your chair and do your pelvic rocking and just focus on your lower dantian, on your womb space. Just allow that energy to move. You can do that. You can grab your crystals, put them in your hands. They bring us energy, right? That's one of the things they love to do is bring in energy. So gratitude and then amplifying energy, not over amplifying. Don't, not like, but bringing the energy into a fullness in your being, in your body. Let's just say you're laying in bed. Okay, so I'm thinking about when I had surgery. I don't know, I guess it was 6 years ago. I couldn't get up and dance. I wasn't feeling so happy. Nope. Um, what did I do? I found ways, and I did use my crystals. I used essential oils, things that I could just have right near me. Especially fragrance really helps. Like if you have, no movement at all, fragrance can move into the body, and that helped my energy. The gratitude, I was just happy I made it through the surgery, so that was easy. I'm happy, good, happy, didn't die, still here. So sometimes that's what it takes. All right, so those two secret ingredients. And then your last There's probably more, but well, the last one for today. So gratitude, cultivation of your life force, and then trust. Trust. Yeah, trust. Um, Trust is an interesting thing because trust does not bypass reality. Trust actually looks at what's going on currently, says, wow, this or something better, because there's probably a something better out there. So being able to trust in something beyond yourself, trusting in that there is something that is better. This is partly my Sagittarius moon speaking, partly the Gemini, being curious and knowing there's something better. Um, what is it? The curiosity really helps. So if you can't get to trust, try curiosity. Okay. So gratitude, cultivate your life force, and trust or curiosity. Those are your secret ingredients for writing down intentions for the month. Okay. And then, yeah, and part of that trust or curiosity is to, I wonder how this is going to happen. Like to let go. How is this going to happen? What am I going to do? Oh, this is magic. All right. So it can be for the mundane things in life, or it can be for the world stage. If we look at the world and if we look at all that's going on right now and all of the real tragic things that are happening, it can be challenging to have trust. This is probably, this is like the PhD course, right? The PhD course in trust. If we can come back to curiosity there, that's when I think it can be helpful. I'm curious how this will change. I'm curious how this can change. I'm curious when this will change. Okay. So, really bringing that in, even on the world stage, because, segue briefly, when we look at the energy of what is, and we look at the energy for what we hope for or what we really do see as possible, or even if we can't really see it yet, we want that to be something. There's when we tap into that, there is energy there for us. And to be curious and to be open to that magic. That is very much the Gemini new moon. And the next step will be as we look at now Saturn in Aries. It will go back into Pisces for a little bit toward the end of the year and then come back out fully next year. Connecting with Neptune in February at 0 degrees Aries. That's going to be a really pivotal moment in time, like really, really important moment in time. So we have time to prepare for that. And what does that mean? It means that in addition to setting our intentions and in addition to the gratitude and the life force and the trust and the curiosity, the next step is action, stepping into our new lives or stepping into a role that can help further a vision of greater peace and care and understanding in the world. So again, whether it's this small world around you or the bigger world, all of us are going to be asked to take some new steps, some new action steps. We don't need to know what they are right now. But if you have a little glimmer, you might want to write those down just so you can remember, here's my little glimmer of thought around what those action steps might be. The first action step, I'll give you a hint, is you must take care of yourself first. Yeah. We are not getting out of this without taking care of ourselves first. This is part of the Aries message. Saturn, Neptune, beautiful combination. And connecting with Jupiter when Jupiter moves into Cancer on June 9th, so not too distant future. So much power and energy to make change, to comfort, to deepen our connection to our sensitivity, and also to be strong and powerful in our visions and take steps and take action steps to go forward. Okay. Lots to say about this, but I think one of the things that is really powerful about this time is remembering that you as sensitive person, you as a sensitive being, you're not alone. That's number one. You may not have people in your, maybe your local area, but you're not alone. There are people out there that are like you. And I think when I was in, England, it was just so delightful to meet so many people that really honor sensitivity and who are sensitive themselves. And yeah, it's just there's people out there all over the place. Okay. So I do understand. I really like doing things in person. So ideally, that's what we do. But if you can't do something in person, join some group that allows you to just be in that energy of sensitivity. Come to Cosmic Compass. We're going to have lots of really amazing guests. Once I get back up rolling again, we'll be talking about all kinds of healing modalities again and other new things. So be a part of a community that honors your sensitivity. Reach out to, some of the people we have on the conversations. Reach out if you need a little extra boost. This is vital. This is so, so, so important, particularly as we move into the Saturn and then Neptune and Aries and then Jupiter into Cancer. The energy is so big. And many of you are feeling it already. I mean, some of you have been feeling it for years and years, but this is a big shift. And yes, many of you are designed to help. Most of you here are givers, and I can't emphasize that enough. And what are you doing to take care of you first? It doesn't work. Trust me, I'm the one who makes all the mistakes and then shares them with you. So trust me when I tell you, taking care of ourselves first is vital. If I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to be able to do all the things that I want to do with all the people that I want to do them with, right? So Saturn helps us set our boundaries. And this is something I keep learning. A slow learner, apparently, that I keep learning over and over and over again is that I have to take care of me by setting boundaries on my time, my energy, my resources, right? And not to say that I don't have a connection to something infinite. I do. We all do. But my Sagittarius moon wants to really push that. And that's not necessarily healthy. So definitely set your boundaries. Trust what you're hearing from your guides. Trust what you're hearing from your body. Uranus is still in Taurus. Okay, so Uranus is still in Taurus, and Uranus is definitely saying to each of us in our own way, woohoo, what are you learning about being in your body right now? What are you learning about having energy in your body? And for some, it's been overwhelming. And so they're learning how to create new portals, new pathways to let this powerful healing energy move through them, because very likely they're meant to share that with other people, right? But it's got to do its thing in our own body first. Okay. So Louise Hay's book, Heal Your Life, Heal Your Body, Heal Your Life. This has been kind of my little book for many, many years. There are other books out there now that really help you look at your body and the messages in your body. So when something happens to my eye or anything else on in my body, I'll go check Louise Hay and I'll check the affirmation that goes with the body part. And that helps me focus. And that way I have like something I can journal with, right? How is it that I am seeing with joy and clarity? How is it that I am seeing with, insight? As someone who's had issues, I've had issues with my eyes since I was young. These are a little more dramatic than normal. But my eyes are very important to me. But what else has developed over my lifetime is the seeing that doesn't have to do with the eyes, right? The seeing in the other realms. And I have to really look at like all the seeing I'm doing. So, I mean, obviously, it seems fairly clear that, well, what's happening to me is a normal process that very often happens 20 years later for most people. Um, I think a lot of Zoom time has probably not been as healthy for me as it as maybe, just thinking about that. So how can, and again, so this is how this works, looking at the reality, but what is my intention? How can I work with what is and create something even better? That's Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter working together. How can I look at what is and create something better that allows me to be able to give more of who I am to what I do? For, some people are just naturally good at this. Apparently, I'm just setting boundaries comes from a lot of things, which we don't have to go into today, but we will. I have a whole plan about that later. These serious topics, they're very serious, actually. But, why is it hard to set boundaries? Fair. Good question. That's what Saturn's been trying to teach me all along. So now that Saturn has moved into Aries and we're getting our information, which is how do I literally step into these next eras? They're all starting right now. How do I step into these next eras and be my full self, my loving self, my sensitive self, my super sensitive self, and do it well? And that's where Saturn comes in. So I'm really excited about Saturn. Um, uh, One of my friends, one of the ones who passed away recently, we used to talk about Saturn, and she would always say, I'm very upset that people malign Saturn. Saturn is our friend. And I'm like, Saturn is our friend. Because really growing up, I would hear Saturn was like this terrible, like, oh, you're going to learn your lessons and it's going to be bad and it's going to be hard. And I'm like, oh God. Okay. So yeah, Saturn can be a tough teacher, no doubt. But how can Saturn be our friend too? And she used to say that all the time. And it just got me thinking, like, I love Saturn. I love Saturn. I live on my Saturn line. I mean, I better love Saturn because we're intimate all the time. So how can I love what Saturn is teaching me? That is a good question. Now, some of you know the alpaca story. Some of you were just hearing the alpaca story, but it is worth repeating. I have to admit, the alpaca story is a good story that sets up the learning around Saturn and Jupiter in Cancer and Neptune. Okay, so let me set the stage for you. Okay, so Jupiter in Cancer, which it'll be, I think June 9th, it's going into Cancer. Um, the generosity of love and caring and sensitivity and warmth and we need to honor our emotions. We need to honor our sensitivity. We will want to give, but we need to take care of ourselves first. Intuition, all of this is going to be amplified. Family, home, it's all going to be amplified. We'll go into that more maybe another time in detail, but that energy is going to be amplified. So caring, warmth, right? And then Neptune is about vision and seeing, and Neptune in Aries is very active in its vision and seeing. And then Saturn, again, what is Saturn here to teach us? Very often, Saturn is here to teach us boundaries. Okay. So I'm setting the stage for you. Okay. Now I'm going to give you just a really little story from my trip that I think does the trick here. Okay. Going to teach my second workshop in this beautiful outdoor venue under the skies, under the stars. By the time we were done with the workshop and the sun had set, the clouds had cleared, and the stars were out, the moon was out, it was extraordinary. But I get ahead of myself. So I'm getting ready and I'm getting the tour of the land, which is gorgeous. And they have an alpaca. Now, many people know that alpacas are the friendliest of creatures. Maybe not as friendly as the capybara, apparently, but Alpacas are super friendly, super gentle, right? So I'm like, wow, an alpaca. So um, my host says, do you want to go in and meet the alpaca? I'm like, sure. Because I'm thinking alpacas are like cats, probably. They're super gentle. I don't know. I'm going to go meet an alpaca. So we go in to meet the alpaca, and I'm smart enough to know don't touch anyone. Do not touch any creature unless you know they want to be touched. So at least I know that much, no matter how friendly they are, right? Dog, cat, alpaca, whatever, tiger. So we go in there and we're chatting, and the alpaca seems really sweet and friendly. And and then I stepped over a boundary. So the Cancerian parts are like, oh, loving alpaca, soft and furry. I didn't touch him, but I was like, oh, soft and furry, so pretty. Loving the alpaca. And my Neptune site, which is kind of ironic here, um, was, and I I didn't ask permission, and I crossed a boundary, and I said to the alpaca, oh, are you having trouble with your eyes? So I didn't ask permission to scan. I didn't really scan, it just kind of came to me, but I didn't ask permission. I really didn't. It's none of my business. So I said that little question, and the alpaca looked at me, moved backwards at quite a clip, and then charged me. And I have to say, I did not know I had reflexes, but apparently I do have good reflexes because I lifted up my left knee and my left arm immediately to protect myself, which I think is very interesting. Like you would think, I would have thought maybe I would do the right, but no, I do the left, probably because we're naturally inclined to protect our heart, maybe. I'm not sure, but anyway, so his hoof landed down on my left knee, which I have to say actually hurt kind of a lot. Um, and left a nice bruise, nice bruise. Um, and I'm going to teach a workshop in like 10 minutes. Okay. So the alpaca and I have had a moment, and his person steps in between us. She's totally like, what just happened? This never happens. The alpaca is the friendliest creature on the planet, and steps in between us, puts her hands on my shoulders. And I have to say, she was amazing because just the way she like firmly but gently gripped my shoulders, I felt immediately calm. It's like she's got her own healing energy. She's, practices healing modalities and stuff. I was like, oh, I'm calm. She's like, just walk backwards. He won't do this again. Just walk backwards. I've got you. I've got you. We're going out. So we leave the pasture. And then she's like, what just happened? So it didn't take long for me to understand that I had crossed a freaking boundary. You don't ask an alpaca if they can't see without asking permission for a lot of things. And it really wasn't any of my business. And who comes home with the eye problem? That would be me, not the alpaca. So, a couple of things to consider with this story. A, I probably am not wrong. There probably is something going on with the alpaca. So, whatever, that's fine. I love animals. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the generosity of heart, like the Jupiter and Cancer energy, right? We're coming into, but we're still in Jupiter and Gemini, so we're still learning. So, just to be clear, we are in learning phase for just another week and a half. Okay. So, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the fact that that thought came to me. Nothing wrong with that. But I would never say that to a human being that I never had met before. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. Do you have trouble with your eyes? Would I ever say, no, no. So crossing the boundary, Saturn's like, sorry. You're charged by an alpaca. If there was anything that says Aries, that would be it. Okay. We have Chiron and Aries, Chiron and Eris conjunct in Aries right now. Don't point out someone's failings or potential vulnerabilities without permission. Okay. It's just one, that's just one story. One story. It's a small story, but I feel like it really exemplifies. Listen carefully. Yes, you're going to be, Aries is very spontaneous and sometimes somewhat unfiltered. Okay. You're going to have that energy coming up. You're going to have that energy coming up. What are you going to do with it? And Saturn says, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. I'm giving a big gold star to the person that just put the thing in the chat. Thank you so much, dear friend. 100%. So things are going to come up. Energy is going to come up. And Saturn's going to say, is this appropriate? Is this necessary? Is this kind? Is this true? What's your container? I mean, if I'm working with a client, it's perfectly acceptable because there's implicit permission there. But even then, you'll hear me usually ask for permission. Sometimes not. Sometimes I'll just say, I'm going to go in and do this. But most of the time, permission is key. So we're going to get insight. We are going to have so much sensitivity. We're going to be very aware. We're going to be very desirous of helping others, right? And we have to look at what is the container that is set here. What are the parameters? What are the container? How am I supposed to use this insight, knowledge, energy? What is happening here? This is so vital because this is going to be with us for a while. Okay. I mean, it's at least a year because Jupiter will be in Cancer for a year. Saturn will be in Aries for 2.5 years. Neptune will be in Aries for much longer, but there is this reminder that we're ready. We're ready. Some of us, I don't know if I'm ready fully, but we're ready to help make change. We're ready for this world and our worlds to come into a greater alignment with divine love, right? And how we do it and how we step into that matters. And that's where Saturn comes in. So remember I was saying that when I was growing up, like Saturn was like constrictive and restrictive, and it was like, there is something to being, how do I want to say this? There is something to just being mindful. So we'll kind of call it that. How do I approach this situation in a way that has the highest benefit for all? Okay. Looking back, I don't know what I would do differently in that situation. Probably wouldn't have said anything. And then the alpaca may or may not have charged me. We don't know. But it seemed pretty clear that I pissed off the alpaca. So if that happens, let someone help you move yourself gracefully out of the situation or move yourself gracefully out of the situation. It's okay if mistakes happen. The thing about Aries and Saturn in Aries is that there will be a lot of trial and error. It's just kind of how it works for Aries. They just kind of do things and see if it works. And then, oh, that worked. Okay, let's do that. Once they get going and they have found the right path, then there's just this powerful energy of leadership and creativity that just takes us forward, right? So if you have any planets in Aries, just remember that you have a liveliness inside you that wants to move in whatever form that planet is. And Saturn is coming along to help you find the better channels to move that energy. Now, shadow side, it could feel constrictive. You could feel like you have detention or that you're grounded, not in a good way. If you do feel that, if you feel subdued or constricted or restricted, ask yourself, is there a way to shift that energy into a container that opens it up so you can move your energy, but in a measured way? Saturn likes things to be fairly measured and, have a nice rhythm to them. Okay. So we have some music people with us today. So I guess the difference would be the cacophony of sound versus a symphony where things are measured and working in a beautiful harmony with each other. We're seeking harmony ultimately, right? But it might not look that way right away. Okay. Oh, thank you. Alpaca's spiritual symbolism is patience, balance, and connection to nature, divine timing. Embrace your energy and align with the natural flow. Agreed. I love it. And that's what we're really trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, thank you so much for that, by the way. We're trying to get our energies, our life force energies aligned. And we have lots of tools to do that. Saturn will help us find more. So again, there's a lot that's going to happen. This, I mean, usually we just focus on the week, but I mean, as I sit here, it's like, there's so much going on around us right now. And there's a lot that is going to come to the surface. So I will say that much. I usually don't do a lot of predictions, but this is a pretty easy one. There's a lot that's going to come to the surface, and it's not all going to be very, I mean, it already isn't very pretty. So what we do to help shift and change what is with and bringing more harmony, divine love, beauty, um, generative energy, creativity. As we move into our own lives and as we take a good look at what is, and then ask the question, how can this be better? We're each going to have an opportunity to do something different in this new era. And it might just be to refine what you're already doing. I'm not saying there's this big, necessarily a big change, although that can happen. But I think mostly right now, it's more about how am I refining who I am and what I'm doing. And, some of us had some conversations recently where I'm just reminding us yet again that sometimes it's that you show up fully. And that's all you have to do differently, because everything you are is already there. And it's your presence that matters, really. And that's kind of true all the time. But if there's one thing we can all do differently, is just show up fully. That's a big, big deal, because so many times, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but as a sensitive person, sometimes it's hard to go out into the world because there's so much energy. And so I kind of cloak myself, and I do this consciously, cloak myself, and I don't necessarily interact very openly in the world. And that's fine. There are days when that's really appropriate, and I have to do that. And Saturn, Aries, Neptune, Aries, Chiron conjunct Aries and Aries. There is a reminder that showing up fully, it can really make a difference in the smallest but ways that we don't know how that impacts later, or the ripple effect of that later. Okay, the refrigerator repair. Okay, I always have the most mundane examples, but I figure these are the ones that really matter right now, because I can't fix the world right now. Refrigerator repair. 6 months been waiting on this thing. Okay. The last time I spoke to some of you in a group, I was waiting for the refrigerator repair guy. Never showed up. Then I hear, I'll come the next day. Never showed up. Then I hear, I'll come the next day. Never showed up. Boundaries can also mean setting boundaries like, you know what, this doesn't work for me, except that this is the only company that can do this work for a lot of reasons. So I feel a little stuck. I'm feeling a little Saturn stuck here. Like, this is starting to really make me angry. And what am I going to do with all this energy? So I'm like, okay, it's not going to do any good to get angry. Like, this is silly. I'll live with this horrific sounding refrigerator for a few more weeks or whatever happens. So call the company, get another date set. Guy doesn't show up. So I'll call the company. And this time, and I have been known, I will be honest, I have a Mars in Aries. I have Mars in Aries. I've been known to say a few things maybe I shouldn't say. But I was like, I'm going to try to listen to Saturn. We've had Saturn in Pisces all this time. We're learning our spiritual lessons, and I'm going to do my best. So I got curious, and this is my antidote, apparently. I got curious. My Mars and Venus, my Venus is in Gemini. Okay, my Venus is in Gemini. The loving self is in Gemini, and it says, get curious. That's how you can work with your Mars. Like, okay. Okay. The guy dislocated his shoulder. Okay. That sounds painful. And he has a newborn baby. Okay. All right. Still isn't helping me, and I'm still mad. But I'm like, okay. So I start to get really super philosophical about it. Supposedly he's coming on Friday. We'll see. But maybe Friday will be the day. Who knows? Um, but I started to get philosophical about it, and I thought, okay, who we are in the world makes a difference every single day. How we show up or how we don't show up. Now, that's a very dramatic example of not showing up time after time. But then, being my little philosophical self, I thought, all right, how many times have I not shown up? Not like that in a physical way, but not really shown up as my full self. And how has that left someone else maybe wanting or disappointed? Not that it's necessarily my responsibility to do that, but again, just asking the question, how am I showing up, and am I showing up fully? Okay, so that was one philosophical question. And then the other thing was, I was thinking about this guy. I sent him some Reiki, just so you know. I sent him some healing energy, even though he didn't ask. I was like, well, I'll just send it. It's out there if he needs it, wants it. His injury and the thing that's happening to him is impacting a bunch of people, not just me. I mean, I'm making it all about me, but how many other people are being impacted by this? And how is that impacting his salary? And he has a newborn baby and blah, 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 right? There's a lot going on there. So I was like, wow, maybe I could have a little bit more compassion. So Jupiter and Cancer, right? Maybe I could have a little bit more compassion. No, we're not yet at Jupiter and Cancer, but I was just hoping I could get there. So compassion came, understanding came, and some potential learning about, well, there are situations that in this situation, I really don't have any other options. This is the only person, the only company that can do this right now. Potentially I could wait another 6 months and find another person who could do the work. But, it's under a warranty, and there's this whole, all the paperwork. I could actually probably find someone and pay them $300 to do it, or I could just go with the warranty thing, which is what I'm choosing to do. So it's still a choice. So I got to that point too. So anyway, thanks for listening to my story. But there's probably the essence of the story. There's a lot more going on underneath the surface for all of us. And if I can show up in my best self when I have the capacity to do so, that's going to make things better, kind of just the ripple in the pond thing. And, this is really important for all of us. And to just be there when we're being shown a lesson and work with that. What is best here? What am I learning? How am I learning? So Saturn is our friend. Saturn is teaching us all the time. There are going to be plenty of misstarts and miscalculations, shall we say, and that's going to be okay. We're going to learn from that. And we'll all kind of report back here another time and share our stories about what I'm learning with Saturn in Aries. We'll have story time. What am I learning from Saturn in Aries? And thank you all for the wisdom that's coming through the chat. I love it. It's so, so true. So true. Okay, so you listened to the story. You did a great job. Thank you so much. It's just a refrigerator. It's not peace in the world by any stretch of the imagination. But if we can extrapolate from there how can I show up fully and be a part of what maybe can lead to more peace and harmony in the world? That's not a bad place to start for today. So, all right, I'm going to end there on that philosophical note.